want hot takes?
No, I'm not going to apologize to Ryan Day. Everything we said about Ryan Day up until the playoffs was true.
Not bad. Come on, Kenner. You can do better than that.
To be fair, of all the elite quarterbacks in the NFL, Joe Burrow is the least accomplished.
Getting better.
1,000,000%. I 1,000,000% believe that the Dayton Flyers are afraid of the Wright State Raiders. That's why they come up with every excuse in the book not to play them.
There it is. The hottest take of them all. It's the Justin Kenner Show, presented by Frickers, live on 1410 ESPN Radio.
All right, everybody, we welcome you in. Happy Tuesday, the Justin Kenner Show, presented by Frickers, live here on 1410 ESPN Radio. Off and rolling again, as I mentioned, here on a Tuesday. Hope everyone had a great Monday. I know everyone's probably a little tired today. We're all probably dragging a little bit. Obviously, the Reds played late last night. You probably stayed up to watch the Reds. Maybe you didn't. Maybe you stayed up to watch the national championship game. Would have finished to that. I tell you what, though, if you did stay up to watch the national championship game, if you did stay up to watch the Reds, well, at least you stayed up for two very good games. The Reds come away with a 2-0 win, which we'll open up the show with coming up here in just a moment. They get a big win in game one against the Giants. Hunter Green, a phenomenal outing once again. We're going to hear from Terry Francona in his post-game comments and his thoughts on the win and why he decided to pull Hunter Green in the ninth inning after a dominant performance. But we'll have that coming up around the corner. A classic national championship game finish, a 65-63 final. The Florida Gators win the national championship. They finished the season 36-4. 40 games it took for them to clinch a national championship. The Gators out of the SEC come away victorious. And now that the college basketball season is officially wrapped up, the UConn women come away with the national championship win on Sunday. The Florida Gators come away with the Monday championship win out of the men's side. And now we get to turn all of our attention towards what is a very weird and rocky offseason in college basketball because it's just the wild, wild west. Everybody's a free agent. Everybody, I mean, you have guys and gals leaving national championship caliber teams just to see what's out there. I mean, this is no longer about sports. That's what makes this is why I think people have fallen out of love with professional sports a little bit, is because it's no longer about the love of the game. We could sit here and talk about all of the rules by the NCAA that have handicapped athletes over the years, but the bottom line is I no longer feel like when I'm watching college athletes that it's all about the love of the game anymore. And it is what it is. But we'll get to that coming up. Again, I'm Justin Kenner. It is the Justin Kenner Show here on a Tuesday. The show presented by Frickers. We appreciate our friends over at Frickers. Frickers, your home for fun food, sports, and spirits. So I'm wearing, for those watching on the Justin Kenner Show Facebook page, my headset's broke, or my earphones, my earbuds, whatever you want to call them. I'm assuming our cleaning people, I appreciate that they come in and clean everything, but they destroy all of our bobbleheads. They snapped off my earbuds. I'm just venting to you guys because I complained to everyone else in the building. No one listens. So maybe someone will listen. If the cleaning people are watching this show, stop breaking my stuff. That's all I'm asking for. I appreciate the work you do, but my goodness, maybe I'm coming across as a jerk right now. But every time I come in here, something of mine is broken. So I got to wear a remote headphone. So I'm in a bad mood, but I'm in an okay mood because the Reds came away finally victorious last night. And there's a lot to unpack when it comes to that Reds win last night. Okay. So I keep doing this thing like I'm trying to remain positive about the Reds. Like, okay, there's no way that they are this bad. There's no way that the Reds are bad enough to not be able to score runs and to not be able to win games. And last night's win, unfortunately, as happy as I am with the win, I'll always take a win. Okay, the Reds get their fourth win of the season, a 2-0 shutout win over the Giants. It's better than all the shutout losses that they've had this season in the infancy stages, 11 games in. But they're 4-7 with the win last night. And what did I take away from last night's win? Nothing. We saw everything that we saw last night is exactly what we've seen in a lot of the losses that we've had as of late as well. The Reds win 2-0. They didn't score their first run until the eighth inning. And I know I'm being negative, but I'm being realistic here. Does the win last night for the Reds over the Giants mean all of a sudden that, okay, now they've turned the corner. They get a big win on the road in the West Coast. They don't win in the West Coast. What does this win mean for the Reds? It means they got to win. It means they avoided going 3-9 or 3-8 to start the season. It means that they have a chance to start a little winning streak here. They have a chance to take the series late tonight against the Giants. I know last night was a 9:45 first pitch. What we got tonight? Another 9:45 first pitch. Okay, cool. So the Reds have a 9:45 first pitch again tonight and a chance to take the series, a chance to win a series for the first time this season. This is their, fourth series of the season. They've yet to win a series. They've avoided being swept all year. That's a good thing. Don't get swept. That's always at least the golden rule as far as that's concerned. Do not get swept. They're not going to get swept in this series. But you can't come away with the game 1 win and then lose games 2 and 3, lose all momentum when you got the Pirates coming into town this weekend and a chance to really establish a little bit of momentum, especially to rack up some wins in the division. But what did I take away from the win last night? Hunter Greene nearly pitched. I mean, he got 2 outs in the 9th inning, and obviously we're going to hear from Terry Francona in a moment about why he decided to go that route. And take him out. It was interesting comments from him in regards to the way he handled the Hunter Greene situation in the 9th inning and his thoughts on the win. But Hunter Greene goes almost 9 innings. Tony Santillan comes in and gets the save. Okay, not Ian Gibaut, thank goodness. If you think about the opening day win that the Reds had, or the loss that the Reds had, it was another gem pitched by Hunter Greene on opening day, and Terry Francona goes to Ian Gibaut to close the game out, and, well, he blew the game and the Reds lost. Tony Santillan comes in and gets his first save of the season. So we saw Tony Santillan, one of the top pitchers in the Reds bullpen, come in and do his thing. We saw Hunter Greene come in and do his thing. And then we saw the offense do their thing. Now, there's a difference between when I say Santillan and Hunter Greene doing their thing and the offense doing their thing. That's 2 different things. Hunter Greene and Tony Santillan. Tony Santillan out of the bullpen comes in, gets the save. He's doing his thing. He's doing what I expect him to do. He's really good out of the bullpen. Hunter Greene, he starts the game. He nearly goes the distance. And he did his thing. That's what I'm used to seeing from Hunter Greene. He is a Cy Young caliber pitcher. This is a Cy Young start to the season. And the offense did their thing. Their thing, not scoring till the 8th inning. Their thing, 2 runs. You're not going to win a lot of games only putting up 2 runs. But again, we've talked about how this pitching staff is going to continue to put them in position to win games. It's going to be up to them to capitalize and to pull the trigger to get it done. I will say what I did appreciate about last night, Spencer Steer, Hurtubise, guys like that, they're the ones that got it done last night. They're the ones that stepped up and were able to produce those runs. Spencer Steer scores a run. Obviously, we got to see, some of these guys step up and get some big hits. That's all I really care about at the end of the day. Trevino gets a big hit. He brings in Steer. He brings in, Hurtubise, guys like that. So at the end of the day, the Reds did what they needed to do. But Steer and Hurtubise, they get the 2 runs that were definitely needed last night to come away victorious when it was all said and done. Dunn, who was batting second in the order for the Reds. A lot of people were questioning that. It was Dunn that was able to bring them in. He had 2 RBIs last night. He also struck out 3 times. He was 1 for 4, 3 strikeouts, but he had the biggest hit of the night because he was able to bring in Spencer Steer and Hurtubise for the 2 runs and the only 2 runs that the Reds would need, and they did it in the 8th inning, and that's clutch. But the problem is, again, I'm being negative, yes, but I don't think I'm being negative. I think I'm being realistic. The Reds win 2-0. And you could say, well, as long as, a lot of times in some wins, you say, okay, that's the Reds team I expect to see. That's the problem. That is the Reds team I expect to see. I expect to see the starting pitching carrying a lot of the load. I expect the bullpen to come in and pick up and kind of, soften the landing to close out the game. And I expect the offense to make everything look as painful as possible. Still disappointed in the top of the order. I'm still disappointed in Elly De La Cruz. He did have a hit last night. He was 1 for 3 with 2 strikeouts. He has 9 strikeouts. All right, in his last, let's see, that would be 27 at bats. He has struck out 9 times in his last 29 at bats, 27 at bats. I had so many people reach out and complain about my take on Elly De La Cruz yesterday, and I don't really care. The guy's a star. He needs to start acting like it. The guy's a star. He needs to start playing like it. If Blake Dunn batting in the 2-hole can come in and drive in the only 2 runs of the night, Elly De La Cruz should be expected to do something beforehand. He's a superstar player. He's on the cover of MLB The Show video game. He's on every Reds marquee throughout every Reds promotional graphic across Major League Baseball. He's the face of the franchise. He needs to start acting like it. He needs to start playing like it, as far as I'm concerned. This is 7 straight games where Elly De La Cruz really has not made an impact on a game. He is not. I mean, you look at Elly De La Cruz striking out twice. That's not acceptable. It's not acceptable. It's not going to get the job done when it's all said and done. But the Reds come away victorious. That's all that matters. And I'm happy with the win last night, and you guys should be as well when it's all said and done. This is the Justin Kinner Show presented by Frickers. Frickers, your home for fun food, sports, and spirits. The Reds, again, take a 1-0 series lead over the Giants. They are now 4-7 on the season, and they look to take the series later on tonight, 9:45, the first pitch. Nick Lodolo going to be on the mound. But that was a big win last night, regardless of how they got it done. The point is they got it done. Hunter Green's phenomenal. Hunter Green, that's his third start of the season. Look, I don't, I said the Cy Young thing earlier. No one wins a Cy Young in April. Okay. But the reason I'm happy with what we're seeing from Hunter Green is because of the fact that he's picked up right where he left off last year. He finished 8th in Cy Young voting last season. And for him to do what he has done already in the infancy stages of this is pretty damn impressive. Because so many times, like we see the pressure of, obviously, when we start to look at the path for some of these young players as far as how they're developing and how they're kind of going along their journey. Hunter Green's not taking a few steps forward and some steps back. He's taken that. He took that step forward last year, and you look at where he's picked up this season. He's not taking any steps back. In fact, he's taking an even bigger stride forward. I think that's huge. We talk so much about how the Reds are going to be able to afford Elly De La Cruz down the road. When it's time for Hunter Green to get his next contract with the Reds, it's going to be interesting to see how they're going to be able to afford him. But nonetheless, it's the Justin Kinner Show presented by Frickers right here on 1410 ESPN Radio. Stop on out at one of your local neighborhood Frickers and take advantage of their frickin' lunch combo for $10.99. Of course, you have many choices for an entree. You also get a side and a drink, all for $10.99. Monday through Friday, 10 a.m. to 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. Again, the frickin' lunch combo available for dine-in or carry-out. Frickers, your home for fun food, sports, and spirits. Make sure you're making plans throughout the week for lunch, the freaking lunch combo. That's where it's at. All right, we'll step away for a few moments. The Reds come away 2-0 victorious last night over the Giants in Game 1. A chance to take Game 2 later on tonight with Nick Lodolo on the mound. But Terry Francona, a lot of interesting things to say in the postgame. His decision on why he pulled Hunter Green in the 9th inning. He also shared his thoughts on the Reds' victory and why we really need to cherish what it's like to get these W's. We have all of that coming up. More of the Justin Kinner Show presented by Frickers next. All right, and we are back. It's the Justin Kinner Show presented by Frickers. Frickers, your home for fun food, sports, and spirits. Happy Tuesday. Off and rolling here again, reacting to the Reds 2-0 shutout win over the Giants last night. It's kind of nice talking about the Reds shutting out an opponent in a win versus getting shut out in a loss, nonetheless. Now, as I said earlier, some people saying I'm being negative. I get that. But a lot of times when you see a win, when you see a win, you usually have to see the team do something that they weren't doing during the losses. And I'm not sure that the Reds did anything different last night than what we've seen in games that they've lost. I mean, think about it. The games that they lost 1-0. Like, real quick, last night's game, you got phenomenal pitching across the board and barely any offensive output, right? And the 3 straight 1-0 losses, you got phenomenal pitching and no offensive production at all. So the only difference between those losses and last night is you barely got any offensive production. I guess those games you got 0 offensive production. Like, we didn't learn anything about this team last night. We still learned that Elly De La Cruz is struggling at the plate. He had 1 hit with 2 strikeouts last night. Okay, he's not driving in runs. He's not putting himself in position to score. He's not making life hell for pitchers. You guys think I have a vendetta out against Elly De La Cruz? No, I just have a very high standard for the star players. And when this team doesn't have a lot of star players, it's not fair to put all the pressure on him. You're damn right it is. Just like it's fair to put all the pressure on LeBron James in the NBA, just like it's fair to put all the pressure on Joe Burrow and Patrick Mahomes and Josh Allen in the NFL and Ovechkin and any other sport out there, star player like you. Yes, it is fair. That's sports. That's life. Like, I don't get why people say that. Oh, it's not fair. It's not fair. What do you mean it's not fair? Says who? Says who? Name any other team that's a team that you don't follow that you give the benefit of the doubt to a star when they're struggling. You don't. So stop being fanboys and girls and just acknowledge, Elly has to be better. If Elly has one of those nights where, he's hitting the ball to the ballpark or he's stealing 2 or 3 bases and he's, creating highlight reels out there because that's what he is and that's what he does and that's what he's supposed to do. And that's what, when it's time to extend him, that's what he's going to be paid to do. Whether he's paid in Cincinnati or paid in Los Angeles, he's going to be paid to not go 7 straight games with 4 hits and 9 strikeouts. That's just the reality of it. 4 hits in 7 games is not acceptable. 9 strikeouts in 7 games is not acceptable. It just isn't. So it is what it is. But big win last night, nonetheless, for the Cincinnati Reds. They had to pull that one out, and they did. Here's Terry Francona after that big win last night that the Reds had on the road at the Giants.
I mean, it felt, you hear the guys, they got a little energy out there. That's good. They fought hard for that because, we're not, it's right now, wins are kind of hard for us. And that doesn't mean we can't. It's just kind of hard. So to see him out there being excited, that really makes me happy.
You notice what Terry Francona almost said? Notice first of all, I love what he said. Wins are hard for us right now, so we'll take them any way we can get. But listen to what he almost said at the beginning.
I mean, it felt, you hear the guys, they got a little energy out there. That's good. They fought hard for that because, we're not
what?
It's right now, wins are kind of hard for us. And that doesn't mean we can't. It's just kind of hard. So to see him out there being excited, that really makes me happy.
You heard Terry Francona almost say the quiet part out loud. We're not what, Francona? We're not good? Yeah, we know. That's the unfortunate part. He almost said the quiet part out loud. He had to pivot because we're not good right now, is what he wanted to say. But he pivoted and said wins are hard right now. However he wants to say it, I agree with him. They're not good right now. Wins are hard right now. And your pitcher goes 9 innings basically last night. And you literally had to flirt with being aggressive and keeping him out there just because, my gosh, like you don't want to risk anything. Or the opposite. He was aggressive and pulled Hunter Green to go to Tony Santillan to make sure that they didn't screw it up because you give up 1 run, you give up 2 runs. Like if that game would have gone to extras, the Reds are losing that ball game. It took them 8 innings just to get the 2 runs that they did. But yeah, Terry Francona, he said the quiet part out loud, almost. When he said, we're not, he paused. Wins are hard right now. One more time. Take a listen.
I mean, it felt, you hear the guys, they got a little energy out there. That's good. They fought hard for that because, we're not, it's right now, wins are kind of hard for us. And that doesn't mean we can't. It's just kind of hard.
I agree. Nonetheless, look, I love Terry Francona. I think it's fair to be critical of Terry Francona at times. I mean, some of the decisions he's made seem a little questionable at times, but I don't think he has a lot of options behind him in a lot of these situations. And I think he's handled it pretty well, all things considered. But yeah, I agree with them. Look, wins are hard, and they got a big one last night, and it's, they have another chance to get a big one tonight. And when you talk about how things are hard, it's even harder when your star players aren't playing well, and it's even harder when your star players aren't available to play. We'll touch more on that in a moment. But one thing about last night, as I said, the Reds didn't play well. They didn't play any different than what they've been playing as of late. You got great quality pitching, and you struggled offensively. But the pitching was so damn good last night that it overcompensated for the bad offensive output. You won 2-0. It wasn't a great offensive output, but you got the win, and that's all that matters. But because the margin for error for this Reds team is so slim, Terry Francona was kind of met with a little dilemma on what to do with Hunter Greene. Hunter Greene almost went 9 innings last night. He had 2 outs in the 9th inning. I mean, he basically almost had a complete game. I should know this. I don't know the last time the Reds had a complete game, but it's been interesting watching Terry. For the difference between, I will say this: a lot of people say they can't see the difference in the managerial style between Terry Francona and David Bell. David Bell was way more analytical. Terry Francona is doing a lot of things based on his gut, keeping Elly De La Cruz in the 3 spot. That's not an analytically driven decision. In fact, that's driving a lot of the analytical nerds crazy, keeping Elly De La Cruz in that 3 hole. The fact that you put Dunn in the 2 spot last night and you had Espinal in the 2 spot the game before. And the other thing is he's letting the starting pitchers go deeper into ball games. Now, a lot of the reason the starting pitchers are going deeper into ball games is because they're pitching deep into ball games and they're being efficient. So that makes it easy. But last night, Hunter Greene pitched into the 9th inning, gave up 0 runs on 4 hits, only walked 1 batter and struck out 7. He's been unbelievable. He's been unreal. And it's pretty dang cool at this point to see a guy that's, has the expectations and to live up to it the way he has. I mean, he went 5 innings, gave up 2 runs on 3 hits on opening day. He gave up 1 run on 3 hits in 7 innings in his second outing against the Rangers, and a 1-0 loss, by the way, another game that they should have won. And then nearly going 9 last night, no runs on 4 hits. He's given up 1 run in his last 15 innings, striking out 15. In his last 15 innings, he has struck out 15 batters, only walking 2. He's given up 7 hits in 15 innings and only given up 1 run in that time span. Hunter Greene's been unbelievable. But the margin for error for the Reds is so slim that Terry Francona really wanted to give Hunter Greene the complete game, but chose to pull him with 2 outs and bring in Tony Santillan. It was a decision that was kind of weighing on him a little bit, but here's Terry Francona on why he ultimately decided to pull Hunter Greene from last night's win.
And if I would have managed with my emotions, I'd have left Hunter in because, I mean, he deserved. I wanted him to finish that game. I just thought he started to overthrow a little bit. He got to that 2 outs, and we needed to win, and it was hard to take him out, but I think it was the right thing to do.
I think it was the right thing to do. And I like that he said if he was managing with his emotions, he would have kept him out there. But I think that this team right now, it's not that he doesn't trust his team. I saw a lot of people comment on this on social media that Terry Francona, when he said that, if I was managing with my emotions, I would have kept him out there. Oh, he doesn't trust Hunter Greene, or he doesn't trust his team. No, guys, I don't think it's that he doesn't trust his team or trust Hunter Greene. It's that he knows his team. We're 10, now 11 games in. He knows his team can't score runs. He knows that he knows that the bullpen is very, very good. And he knows that Hunter Greene has been very, very good up until where he started to lose a little off his fastball and he started to lose a little bit of his command because he's, in the 9th inning. People who are criticizing him for that is just kind of wild to me. That just proves to me that this fan base is always going to find something to complain about. Terry Francona, it's not that he doesn't trust his team. It's that he knows his team. And when you have a 2-0 lead and all of a sudden you're starting to lose a little control of the game a bit, you don't want to find yourself in a position where all of a sudden the Giants, after being shut out for 8 innings and some change, put 2 runs up in the bottom of the 9th and force extra innings in your team that is like, it's painful. I mean, from a offensive production standpoint, they are offensively constipated. They cannot squeeze out a run, right? So if you know that you're offensively constipated, don't put them in a position where you have to force a run to win a ball game after you've been, tied for pretty much the whole game and had the lead for the most important high leverage moments of that game. I don't mind it one bit. The Reds get the win. Hunter Green gets the win. Hunter Green over the last 15 innings has just been phenomenal. 15 strikeouts in the last 15 innings. Given up 1 run in that span. I mean, the guy's been unbelievable. The Reds win 2-0. Nick Lodolo going to be on the mound. As I mentioned earlier, you heard Terry Francona say it. Wins are hard right now. It's hard to get wins right now. And when it's hard to get wins, you need your stars to step up. You've heard me be critical of Elly De La Cruz. But where it is becoming a little unfair for Elly De La Cruz, when you need your stars to step up, the problem is the Reds only have 1 right now in this lineup. What's happening with Matt McClain? What is happening with Tyler Stevenson? What is the update there? Let's touch on that when we come back. We have an update on Tyler Stevenson. In the pregame yesterday, we heard Terry Francona address that with Tommy Thrall. So we'll get to that. Matt McClain out again. How long should we anticipate him being out? We'll discuss that. Plus, we'll take a look at the early standings in Major League Baseball. Hour number 2 coming up around the corner as well. I promise you, Ryan Day, we got the spring game coming up this weekend, and Ryan Day is doing something different this spring game. There's going to be contact at this spring game. And I'm here to tell you, this is classic Ryan Day. He has to be the tough guy. We got to be tough. When was the last time that Ohio State, when was the last time that they tried to tell you that they were tough and they actually were tough after they told you that they were tough and it worked out for them? They didn't tell you that they were tough against Tennessee. They didn't tell you they were tough against Oregon. They didn't tell you that they were tough against Texas, and they didn't tell you that they were tough against Notre Dame. They just went out there and played football. I don't like what Ryan Day is doing with this spring game. I know it sounds wild. We'll talk about that coming up in hour number 2. Update on Tyler Stevenson. What's going on with Matt McClain? Reds health update when we come back. All right, and we are back. It's the Justin Kinner Show presented by Frickers. Frickers, your home for fun food, sports, and spirits. Before we dive back into the Reds, again, a lot of Reds today. They come away victorious last night, 2-0 in Game 1 against the Giants. Game 2 coming up later on tonight, 9:45. Another late one. The first pitch. Nick Lodolo on the mound. The Reds looking to take their first series of the season. They lost the opening season series against the Giants, who they're playing currently. They lost the second series of the season against the Texas Rangers. And then, of course, coming off that series loss against the Brewers, dropping 3-4 against them. Now taking Game 1 against the Giants, Game 2 tonight, Game 3 will be tomorrow. The Justin Kinner Show presented by Frickers will be preempted tomorrow for Reds baseball. 3:45 first pitch, 3:15 coverage will begin. Reds are off on Thursday, and then they return home coming up this weekend. I will say, I don't know how many of you have been, I know a lot of you in Cincinnati have, but for those of you in the Dayton area, have you guys seen the pictures, the aerial photos of the river? That's, I mean, the water levels are just through the roof right now. I mean, it's pretty much dead even with the ground level of Great American Ballpark at this point. I'm very curious to see if that water, I'm hoping that water stops rising. I'm hoping that they can get that under control. I hope it doesn't impact for one, way bigger things for flooding to impact in a baseball game. So let me not sound too insensitive to that, of course. But no word yet as far as whether or not that'll impact this the games coming up this weekend. The Elly De La Cruz bobblehead giveaway. In fact, you know what? I would push back the bobblehead giveaway. Elly, you get a bobblehead when you decided to start playing like a star. How about that? No bobbleheads this weekend is what I would do. But the Elly De La Cruz switch hitter bobblehead coming up. Did you guys see what they're doing with that? So I envisioned, I don't think I have one of the bobbleheads over here. Yeah, I mean, I have some, but I don't have one on the dual platform. So they've done bobbleheads before where they'll have two bobbleheads on one little platform, right? And I envisioned that that's what this was, switch hitter bobblehead, for Elly. But you either, when you go through the gates, you're either going to get Elly right-handed or Elly left-handed hitter. Like, you're not getting both. It's not that big a deal. It's really not. It just seems like a weird promotion. You could have just done Elly right-hander switch hitter bobblehead for this game and done a lefty giveaway for the next game and urge people to complete the set. You got to come to both those games. I don't know. But I thought that was strange nonetheless. But that's coming up this weekend as well. We do have tickets. We will be giving away tickets. Make sure you tune into Thursday's show. We will be giving away tickets to the Reds game coming up this weekend, including the Reds bobblehead giveaway, which we will have tickets for you for that. And I'll tell you how you can win those coming up. But you got to tune into Thursday's show as far as that's concerned. We do have a chance for you to win a Choose Your Trip contest coming up here in just a moment. We'll get to that here shortly. And I have a keyword for you to be able to enter at wingam.com for you to go and win, or have a chance to win, I should say, as far as that goes. So keep that in mind as we have that coming up for you here shortly as well. All right, it's the Justin Kinner Show presented by Frickers. Frickers, your home for fun, food, sports, and spirits. And we appreciate our partner there. We will be announcing, too, our next live show. Kevin and I will be taking the show live out on location coming up here in just a few weeks, and we'll tell you more about that coming up here shortly. Listen to win a trip to anywhere in the U.S. The Choose Your Trip contest will have a winning word for you coming up here shortly, so keep it locked in here. We'll get to that coming up at the end of the segment. When you hear the keyword, you'll take it to wingam.com and enter that in the Choose Your Trip contest, and we'll have more information for you here shortly. All right, we've talked a lot of Reds. Reds back in action coming up tonight, Game 2 of this Giants series. The Reds looking to get their first series win of the season, and they're coming off a big win last night. A little negative on it. I get that. The Reds win 2-0. They didn't score their first. In fact, the only 2 runs they scored, it took them 8 innings to do so. And, had the way baseball is played today, if Hunter Green is pulled in the 6th or 7th inning, I know the Reds have a good bullpen, but man, oh man, pulling Hunter Green, how many times this season are we going to pull Hunter Green with no runs on the board? He was pulled after he pitched 7 innings of work against the Rangers, and they pulled him. The Reds had 0 runs when he left the game, and they finished the game with 0 runs. If he would have only gone 7 last night, he would have left the game again with 0 runs up on the board. I mean, this reminds me a lot of the Johnny Cueto run a little bit. The last couple of years that Johnny Cueto was here, Johnny Cueto would go out and pitch gems like what we're seeing from Hunter Green and get little to no run support. And that's what's happening right now, not just with Hunter Green, but with this entire pitching staff, and that's what's unfortunate. But man, oh man, the Reds come away with a win. My only point is I didn't see the team play different last night than what we've seen them play, even in some of their tough losses as of late. The Reds, even in their losses, have got phenomenal pitching, little to no run support. Last night, phenomenal pitching, little to no run support. 2 runs is great, but you were shut out for more than half of that game. But they got the win, and we'll see what happens tonight. So what do you do with this team? There's not going to be a lot of help on the reinforcements aren't going to come in regards to the front office being aggressive and going to find a way to make a trade or whatever. I mean, if we're really going to sit here and act like Will Benson and Noelvi Marte are the key to this team's season turnaround, this team's then even in worse shape than I thought. At some point, you got to look at the guys on the roster right now and say, hey, it's up to you to be professional baseball players and figure this out. Because it's not as if this is a team that is just absolutely dreadful in regards to not having talent on it. You have guys that have been very, very good players in the past that just aren't playing well. And that's the unfortunate part about this. Jeimer Candelario, the Reds spent $15 million a year for him to come here to be a guy that could hit close to 30-plus home runs a season, something that he has done throughout the majority of his career. You come and you bring him to Cincinnati playing at Great American Ballpark, and he can't knock it out of the most hitter-friendly ballpark in baseball. At some point, Jeimer Candelario has to be a ball player. Gavin Lux, at some point, has to be a ball player. That's I was told. I mean, this was a great addition. I wasn't all warm and fuzzy inside for the Gavin Lux addition, but I was told by the Reds faithful, this is a great addition. It has not been. It has not been. Spencer Steer, give him a little bit of leeway, although he has played better the last couple of games. He had his first home run 2 games ago against the Brewers. I know it was a 7-0 game at the time. It made it 7-2. They ended up losing 8-2 or whatever it was. But then he was, he produced last night. He scored one of the 2 runs that the Reds put up on the board to come away with the 2-0 win. But Jeimer Candelario has to play. But at the end of the day, we could talk about all of this. This team has to get healthy as well. Tyler Stevenson, we do have an update on Tyler Stevenson. It was let be known in the pregame yesterday with Terry Francona and Tommy Thrall. Terry Francona gave an update on Tyler Stevenson. Tito said everything checked out really good in the latest update for Tyler Stevenson with the rotator, but noted he is a long way from playing. That's not good. So that it's going to basically, right now, it is all about, when you look at the catcher position, it's all about Austin Wynns and Jose Trevino. Jose Trevino was brought over to be a great defensive addition to the catcher position. He was not brought over to be the guy to carry the load offensively. And although he's a very good defensive catcher, and this team has been improved defensively, no doubt, it's not going to get you're not going to get offensive production from him. You're not getting offensive production from your third baseman, Candelario. You're not getting offensive production from Christian Encarnacion Strand, who started the season hot, got hit in the wrist, and just has not been the same since. So you're getting no offensive contributions from your catcher, no offensive contributions from your first baseman or third baseman. Your second baseman is supposed to be Matt McClain, but you're not getting anything from him because he missed his 4th straight game last night. And he's probably going to miss his 5th straight game tonight. And we're going to do this weird little song and dance where Matt McClain is probably going to be scratched from the lineup tonight, scratched from the lineup tomorrow afternoon. And then when the Reds return home to Cincinnati, they're going to put out some dumb report about how he's going to be on the 10-day IL, retroactive to insert date here. And then we're going to kick the can down the road every 6-7 days where we get an update on Matt McClain. And then to eventually we're going to get to the All-Star break and find out that he's shut down for the season. Now I'm being negative. The problem is I'm supposed to crack this mic and tell you that everything's going to be okay. I just don't know if it is. No offensive production from your first or third baseman. No offensive production from your catcher. Your second baseman is Matt McClain. When he's healthy, he's going to give you production, but he's not healthy. Stop me if you've heard that one before. And then your superstar, face of the franchise shortstop, can't do a damn thing either, and he's healthy. I don't know what his excuse is. Spencer Steer's your left fielder. You're getting nothing from him. Jake Fraley's your right fielder. He's walking after some ball right now that he let through his legs. And TJ Friedel, man, this team's in bad shape. I felt pretty good about it. I'm excited about the Reds. But I just started putting all the puzzle pieces together, and I'm like, this team's in rough shape. Austin Hayes, I have not come across any update on Austin Hayes. The last report I saw was that he should be ready and available heading into this series with the Pirates this weekend. That was Terry Francona before the Reds went on the road trip, with Milwaukee. It was known that they were hoping to get him back before their next homestand. Their next homestand, of course, coming up against the Pirates this weekend. Hopefully that's the case. That's the case. As far as standings are going here in the early going, I know people don't care about standings, but it is interesting kind of seeing who's out to a hot start and who's not. We talk about the Reds and we look at their record and we say, oh my gosh, they're 4-7. How horrible are the Cincinnati Reds? I mean, if you go look at the American League East right now, the New York Yankees are in first place at 6-4. They have 2 more wins than the Reds. The Blue Jays are 6-5. The Red Sox are 6-5. Baltimore and Tampa each with 5 and 4 wins apiece. You look at the AL Central. The Tigers are sitting at the top at 6-4. The Royals and Guardians 5-5, 3-6. I mean, the Reds are right there in the mix in those 2 divisions as well. You look at the West. The Texas Rangers are 8-3. All right, 8-3. 2 of those wins should be losses. The Reds held them to 1 run in back-to-back games because the Reds couldn't produce 1 damn run. Like, the Rangers aren't as good as what their record says they are, at least at this point in the infancy stages of the season, in my opinion. But they're 8-3. All right, and you look at, I think the National League is off to a significantly better start, but I mean, even the Phillies are 7-2, the Mets are 7-3, the Marlins 5-5. And then you have the Padres and the Giants 9-2, 8-2. And then how about the Dodgers? They started out the season 7-0, and they're 2-3 in their last 5. Good for the Padres sitting up there at 9-2. The bottom line is way too damn early to panic. Way too damn early to panic. You heard Terry Francona earlier. Wins are hard right now. They're hard for a lot of teams. I mean, the Dodgers started out 7-0. And they're 2-3 in their last 5. Baseball is a funny sport. It turns on you so dang quickly. It turns so quickly. And it turned on the Dodgers. Last night, the Reds get a big win. It could turn in the right direction for them. The Reds are 4-7. The Cubs are sitting at the top of the Central right now at 8-5. The Brewers are 5-5. The Brewers, that's the thing about the Brewers. They're 5-5, and they just took 3 of 4 from the Reds. And the Brewers pitching staff is just depleted right now. But that's why they ran into the perfect situation going up against a horrific Reds lineup that just didn't put the pressure on them the way that they needed to. But one more time, game 2 tonight against the Giants. Nick Lodolo on the mound, and the Reds are looking to go for their first series win of the season. Game 3 will be tomorrow, 3:45 the first pitch. The Reds game will preempt our show tomorrow, but Nick Martinez will look to close it out against the Giants. Reds off on Thursday, and then they welcome the Pirates to town to Great American Ballpark starting on Friday. All right, it's the Justin Kinner Show presented by Frickers right here on 1410 ESPN Radio. It's tax season. Make sure you give my friend Michael Maxwell a call today over at Arrowhead Tax Service, 937-543-5770. Tax season, just like college basketball season. College basketball season wrapped up. All right, that wrapped up. Tax season's about to wrap up, which means if this ad is interesting you, that means you're just like me. You put it off to the last minute. Give Michael Maxwell a call at Arrowhead Tax Service, and he'll get you taken care of. If you've never used Arrowhead Tax Service in the past, you will get a 10% discount to all new customers. So I think that's pretty neat as well. When you call Michael Maxwell, he'll give you a free estimate over the phone as far as what it's looking like, as for what it's going to cost you. However in-depth your taxes are, he'll tell you what it's going to cost. So give him a call today. Michael Maxwell, Arrowhead Tax Service, 937-543-5770. Arrowhead Tax Service gives back to the community through athletics and nonprofits. All new clients save 10% off online at arrowheadtaxservice.com, where their target is your satisfaction. Ryan Day is a tough guy, right? He likes to tell you he's tough. He likes to show you he's tough. And he's going to do that with the spring game this weekend. I'm not a fan of it. I'll tell you why next. All right, and we are back. It's the Justin Kinner Show presented by Frickers. Frickers, your home for fun, food, sports, and spirits. We talked a lot of Reds in that I'm sorry, I got distracted there. Sorry, we talked a lot of Reds in that first hour, of course, and we'll talk some more Reds coming up here in just a little bit. But most importantly, we're not talking about a Reds loss today. We did not talk about a Reds loss today. We're talking about a Reds win, a 2-0 win at that. Hunter Green was just phenomenal last night, the late one. The Reds on the West Coast taking on the Giants. In fact, they have a chance tonight to take on, to get their first series win of the season. I think that's very important. The Reds have to start doing something like slow start to the season, 3-7 your first 10 games. It has not been the start to the season that we wanted or that we anticipated. I don't think that we have expectations of this being a World Series caliber team, but at the same time, we also don't have them being a team that is going to be flirting with 100 losses, and we hope that that's not the case. We hope that that's not the case. And we talked on yesterday's show the difference between expectations and hope, and expecting this team to make the playoffs and hoping they make the playoffs. I think we're hoping this team makes the playoffs. I don't know if anyone's expecting it at this point, and that's the unfortunate thing. It took 10 games to get us to realize that. Some of you probably are saying, I knew that before. I knew that before, but it is what it is. Nonetheless, we'll get back into Reds. I want to transition over to college football. Ohio State, the defending national champions, the Ohio State Buckeyes, by the way. Okay, they're going to be in action this week in the spring game. So much has been made about these spring games in regards to whether or not they should even happen. I don't really know what they get. I think the spring game is just more of a display for fans to come and see. I don't think that anything is ever officially taken away from a spring game. I know people brought up, some of these quarterback battles over the years that have come down to the spring game. I promise you, the spring game has never decided who the starting quarterback is, not just for Ohio State, but for any team in the history of college football. The spring game is just a chance to give your fans a taste of college football in April before it goes dormant until we get to August. It's that simple. Like after the spring game this weekend, which we'll have the spring game for you coming up this Saturday. It's a noon kickoff right here on 1410 ESPN Radio. We are Dayton's radio home for Ohio State football. So we will get a chance to listen to the spring game coming up. If you're not able to watch it, make sure you tune in here to listen to it, of course. But there's something different about this spring game. Okay? So Dave Biddle, Bucknuts 24/7 Sports, tweeted out yesterday that the spring game will feature offense versus defense. The first few drives will be thud. Then everyone other than the quarterbacks will be live, real football. He tweets out. Now, I don't want to overreact to this. I don't want to overreact to it, okay? But I will say this. The spring game is so meaningless and pointless that when a lot of programs out there talked about the possibility of pulling the spring game altogether, I was like, okay, that's fine. The spring game, I tell you what, me and my family went a few years ago, like my mom, stepdad, sister, brother, wife, everybody, we all went. And I'm here to tell you, there's no way in hell that me, my mom, my stepdad, my sister, my wife, and my brother, and everybody that we're all going to a Buckeye. I'm not paying for tickets to a regular season game. I don't make enough money to pay for everyone's ticket. But you know what? I could act like I could throw some cash around for a spring game ticket that would cost $5-10. That's no big deal. I could treat the family to a spring game. The spring game is a great opportunity. If you are listening to this and you have a family and you want to, and you struggle to be able to take your family to an Ohio State game, because by the way, it's nothing about you. It's just that these damn tickets are way too damn expensive. And that's besides the point. Take advantage of the spring game. Take the family to the shoe. To go to the shoe and watch football in any capacity is such a cool experience. Take advantage of it. It's a really cool opportunity coming up this weekend. Take the family. $5-10 tickets, whatever you find on StubHub, Ticketmaster, whatever. I do know when the tickets come out, they're always $5. The yahoos kind of go and they swarm them all up and then they double the price and sell them for 10. It's ridiculous, but it's just kind of what happens. So, but take advantage of that. It's a great opportunity to go and take that in. Outside of that, I gained nothing from the spring game. Nothing. It is a meaningless get together for the team just to kind of give back to the fans a bit, which means don't get hurt. There's no reason to get hurt. There's no reason to risk getting hurt in a meaningless spring exhibition game. And it's not even a spring exhibition game because you're not going full 100%. You're not truly tackling or anything like that, or at least you shouldn't be. But Ryan Day has a different idea in mind. He's a tough guy. Ryan Day is all about proving to people that we're tough. And I don't like it. I don't like it. It's not that I don't like the idea of the Buckeyes being tough, but sometimes you just got to know who you are. And the unfortunate part about Ryan Day is that even after winning a national championship, the guy still seems to have an identity crisis. He still seems to not understand who the hell he is. Ryan Day, no offense, man. Like, you're not tough. Your teams aren't tough. They've never been tough, and that's okay because you're national champions. When people question your toughness, I get that it's a tough pill to swallow when people are questioning your toughness and you're not a national champion. But if people want to question your toughness while you're a national champion, who cares? It doesn't matter how you do it. Just go do it. And the Buckeyes did that in that playoff push, in that playoff run. But you know why they did it? Because they just went out and played football. There was no secret sauce. You know what this actually technically there is? You know what the secret sauce was? Ryan Day shut up. He stopped trying to convince the media that we're a tough football team. Stop telling. If you have to tell people you're tough, you're not tough. If you have to tell people you're good, you're not good. If you have to tell people you're great, you're not great. You know what you don't have to tell people? Because they already know it. You don't have to tell people you're national champions because we already know it. Stop trying to convince people that you are a tough football program by telling us, just go do it. And I'm telling you right now, I'm not impressed with the fact that Ryan Day is trying something different this year, and there's going to be full-on tackling in the spring game. I think that's ridiculous. I think it's the stupidest thing ever. You're risking key injuries. I know that the quarterbacks aren't going to be touched. Okay, cool. Caleb Downs, who's, by the way, it sounds like he's been through a lot as of late. I'll throw that out there. You know, it sounds like nothing's going to come of that. It sounds like some stuff has been overblown with the Buckeye media. But, I mean, is there any team out there that has bigger fanboy media than Ohio State? Like, I know nothing's going to come out of that, but the fact that any media for Ohio State was close enough to the candle to get burned, it means that you need to stop being a damn fanboy and just be a professional reporter and cover the damn team. I'm going to leave it at that and be very, very vague as far as that's concerned. I'm not going to talk about names or anything, but you have way too many reporters that just do a podcast and they think that they're bigger than they are, and they're just a megaphone for the university because they say all the right things about the team just to be able to get access. The fact that they're even caught up in this drama to begin with is absolutely ridiculous. You should not be close enough to the candle to get burned. And they are, and they most likely didn't do anything. So it is what it is. But I think sometimes Buckeye media could be a joke, and I'll just leave it at that. So that's besides the point. But where was I? My ADD and my mean attitude got in the way there for a second. But no, as far as this weekend is concerned, I think it's absolutely ridiculous. And by the way, do you guys agree? I mean, I think some of you guys out there don't really care. I think you're excited to at least go to the spring game and watch the teams tackle a little bit, and there at least be some physicality. But at the expense of what? You're being physical on Saturday to prove what? Are any of you going to go to the shoe and leave the spring game and say, man, that's a tough football team. Man, we're going to be good next season. We are tough. Did you see the way we tackled at 75% on Saturday? Like, come on. Ryan Day, every time Ryan Day tries to prove that he's tough, he comes across looking not so much. The reason that Ohio State lost the fourth straight game to Michigan this past year is because, or third or fourth, what's the count? I mean, my gosh, I feel like we're just out cold at this point. No, it's like the stubbornness of Ryan Day. When they lost to Michigan, they could have won with finesse. They could have passed on that Michigan defense. They could have moved the ball on that Michigan defense, but he didn't want to do that. He wanted to run the ball on Michigan's defense. He wanted to be tough. He wanted to prove that he could win in the trenches. And then in Ohio State, despite having the capability of doing that, that's just not who their true identity was. And it burned them. They tried to be something that they're not, and it cost them. You know, I still to this day, I remember when they came back, they get that 7-0 lead, 10-0. They led 10-0 over Penn State, or they trailed 10-0 over Penn State, and they come back and they win that football game afterwards. And it was an ugly game, by the way. It was not a pretty game. It was an ugly game. And Ohio State, right after that win, Ryan Day is walking off the field, and the president of the university, and of course, Ross Bjork, the athletic director, the first words out of Ryan Day's mouth, because the mics caught it, they were panning in on him on the field after the clock hit 0. Ryan Day is walking to the center of the field where he shakes hands with Ross Bjork, and there's the president of the university right there in his bomber jacket for whatever reason. And Ryan Day, the first words out of his mouth, man, we're tough. That was tough, right? I mean, could question our toughness. Stop it. You weren't tough. You shut down an offense that wasn't very good. I think we saw that from Penn State. Penn State's offense is very overrated. Congratulations. Ohio State's defense does what it does in a conference that doesn't have a lot of good offenses to begin with. So every time Ryan Day has to convince you and tell you he's tough, I don't view you're tough. You remember the Notre Dame game? That's a tough football team. Dude, you won a game because they didn't have enough guys on the field. You weren't a tough football team, but you got a big win on the road against Notre Dame. Just be happy you got that. But you had to tell people you're tough, and then you look goofy doing it. You got a big win against Penn State last year, but the only thing I was left feeling was cringe whenever the first words out of Ryan Day's mouth were, oh, man, that was tough, right? We're tough. Tell me we're tough. I need to be told that we're tough. You lost to Michigan because you tried to be tough. But you know what Ryan Day didn't do during the playoffs? He didn't talk. He didn't tell the media we're tough. He didn't have to try to convince anyone of anything. They just went out there and played football. And I feel like this spring game thing is another example of Ryan Day trying to convince you, hey, we're tough. We're a tough football team. Come on, Ryan Day. You're not. You're not tough in the trenches, and maybe you are now. I don't know. But the one thing you are is national champions, and that's something that I can't question, that Shaw can't question, that Michigan fans can't question. Ohio State, they're national champions. And you're national champions because you got to lean into what you do best. Now, we're relearning this team. We don't know exactly who this team's going to be. I touched on it lightly yesterday. I didn't really like the quarterback update as far as the competition is concerned. We'll get to that more in a moment. I know we touched on it yesterday. I want to dive back into that a little more. But man, oh man, at the end of the day, I am not a fan of Ryan Day incorporating. You have all these big programs out there leaning towards pulling the spring game all together, and then you have Ryan Day over here. We're going to tackle. We're going to be tough. I don't like that. If anyone gets hurt this Saturday, just know I'm not happy about it, but I can't wait to tell you I told you so. I hope no injuries come out of this spring game because it's Ryan Day's ego trying to prove people that now I'm a national champion. I'm tough. Lou Holtz, tune into our spring game and see how tough we are. Lou Holtz doesn't need to tune into a spring game to see how tough you are. You just won a national championship by kicking his team's ass, actually. I just don't like this from Ryan Day. Ryan Day still hasn't learned his lesson, even after winning a national championship. And that's the part I'm concerned about. All right, it's the Justin Kinner Show presented by Frickers right here on 1410 ESPN Radio. It is hour number 2. Frickers, your home for fun, food, sports, and spirits, of course. We'll step away for a few moments. We touched on it on yesterday's show. I want to get back into it. I am curious your guys' thoughts. Julian Sayin, in my eyes, I thought was going to be the quarterback for Ohio State this season. I thought that was going to be the guy. I thought that that's who we were going to be talking about leading the program this season, and that may not be the case. Sounds like we got a quarterback competition in Columbus, and a lot of you are out there saying, well, yeah, this is a good thing. I don't think that it is. It reminds me a lot of the Kyle McCord, Devin Brown era, which was only 2 years ago. But 2 years ago, I want to forget that season. Is it a good or a bad thing? Leave it in the comment section. Is it a good or a bad thing that we have a quarterback competition in Columbus? Julian Sayin obviously should be the guy in my opinion, but it sounds like, according to Ryan Day, that things are getting tight. And we have Lincoln Kienholz and Julian Sayin are neck and neck in terms of Ohio State's quarterback battle. Good or bad that the Buckeyes have a quarterback competition? We'll discuss when we come back. All right, and we welcome you back. It's the Justin Kinner Show presented by Frickers. Frickers, your home for fun food, sports, and spirits. In fact, speaking of Frickers, make sure if you're out and about looking for lunch plans throughout the work week, that you stop on out at your local neighborhood Frickers for their frickin' lunch combo for $10.99. The frickin' lunch combo features many options such as frickin' chicken chunks, cheeseburgers, the charbroiled chicken wrap, and the frickin' chicken wrap. You also get a side and a drink, all for $10.99. The frickin' lunch combo is available Monday through Friday between 11 a.m. and 2 p.m. Dine in and carry out, both available. Frickers, your home for fun food, sports, and spirits. One thing I forgot to mention earlier about the Reds, brought up Jake Fraley. I forgot Jake Fraley was supposed to be in the lineup last night, and he was scratched from the lineup. Jake Fraley was scratched from the lineup with left side pain. Addition by subtraction, if you ask me. Like, I've always been a Jake Fraley guy. I still just can't get over, how many games ago was it where he made the error in right field and then he jogged after the ball and just casually threw the ball in, and what should have just been, off an error like that, at least hold him to a single. He got a triple because he just jogged over to the right field corner to get the ball and casually just threw it in. I mean, my goodness. If you're not going to play good, at least play hard. And Jake Fraley didn't do that. So I'm not happy he's hurt by any means, but at the same time, it's like my only complaint about, Terry Francona was the fact that, okay, where's that accountability? Where's that old school manager type of stuff? I know old school managers would not put up with the guy half-assing it, jogging after a ball after making an error. Old school managers used to lose their blank if you popped up and you jogged around the bases and didn't run it out. It's like that used to drive managers crazy as well. So Terry Francona, old school manager, but it's very kind of loose and lenient with these guys a little bit. And that was my only big complaint, if there is one of him, but we also don't know all the details. But yeah, Jake Fraley scratched in the lineup last night. Matt McClain missed his fourth straight game. Who knows what's going to happen with that? Tyler Stevenson, as we mentioned earlier, the update on him is that he's progressing nicely, but it's going to be a while before he gets any game action. Andrew Abbott has thrown quite a few impressive rehab outings in the minor leagues. Should be back by this weekend. That was the proposed timeline. Another potential return for this weekend could be what might be a much needed addition is Austin Hayes. Austin Hayes, I think, is going to be very much needed at this point. This team is going to need anyone that is capable of putting the ball in play in any kind of capacity, because this team is just riddled with injuries. No Tyler Stevenson. Spencer Steer's out there, but he's banged up. Jake Fraley's now officially, been scratched from the lineup. No update as far as when he'll return. Maybe he's in the lineup tonight. Who knows? That's the thing with these West Coast games. They don't have to put the lineup out until much later. 9:45, the first pitch tonight. Nick Lodolo on the mound, by the way. Nick Lodolo on the mound tonight. 9:45, the first pitch. They don't even have to put the lineup out until, 7, 8 if they want to. Who knows? But we'll see what ends up happening there. Again, we welcome you back. The Justin Kinner Show presented by Frickers. I want to continue on with college football. As I mentioned earlier, people are like, man, Kinner, you're still beating up on Ryan Day. I'm not beating up on Ryan Day. I find his decision to add contact to the spring game this weekend to be ridiculous. The spring game is stupid to me. I'm not going to lie. I think it's ridiculous. I think it's a cool opportunity to go to the shoe, take the family, and be able to watch a Buckeye game that's beyond affordable for a change. I think tickets are too damn expensive during the regular season. It's absolutely ridiculous. But hey, they fill up the shoe, so you can't complain, right? The spring game's $5-10. Take the family, enjoy yourself. No problem with that. But the spring game itself, as far as what it represents, it's just like a fan fest type of thing is what it should be. It was almost described a while back as what was going to be like a fan fest, an interactive event with fans, and it's kind of transitioned back into just what we've seen for years, which is a spring game. Not mad at that. A lot of Power Four conferences out there, teams out there, have discussed the idea of scrapping the spring game altogether. Nebraska's head coach talked about this, Matt Rule, about getting rid of the spring game just because not wanting to put a lot of your position battles just publicly out there for other teams to come and take advantage and poach. So you have some Power Four programs who are wanting to scrap the spring game altogether, and then you have Ryan Day who's like, we're going to do a spring game, and now we're going to tackle. Now you're like, well, Justin, it's football. You're being soft. Let him tackle. I'm not being soft. I just think that when Ryan Day has gone out of his way to convince people that he's tough, bad things happen. he tried to convince you how tough he was after they beat Notre Dame when they had not enough guys on the field. And that actually was probably one of the least tough teams that we've ever seen at Ohio State, right? Penn State, they finally get a big win, and it was a respectable win last year. You started to buy in the way that the defense, because that was the first time that we watched the defense get some big-time stops and consecutive, not just downs, but possessions. And they get that big goal line stop against Penn State, on the road in a tough environment. And instead of enjoying it, the first words out of Ryan Day's mouth as he walks off the field when Ross Bjork, the athletic director and the president of the university, approach him, he doesn't say, "Hey, how are you? Thanks for being here." It's, "Hey, how about that? We're tough, right? Tell me we're tough. Convince me. I know you're my boss. I need to be told. I need that reassurance." He needs that reassurance, and it's such a weird thing. He is more obsessed with the reassurance than he is of anything else. And this is a guy that just won a national championship. Ryan Day is a national champion. Ryan Day is coming off of a national championship season. I don't need Ryan Day to prove to me that he's tough. I wish Ryan Day would have just canceled the spring game altogether, to be quite honest with you. It serves no purpose. No quarterback battle or position battle has ever been resolved at a spring game. We gain nothing from this. Buckeye fan, it's good for the fans. Oh, yeah, because Buckeye fans are going to switch over to the maize and blue if we pull the spring game. Give me a break. The spring game serves no purpose. There's not one benefit to it whatsoever. And now you want to take something and add a risk to it by adding contact. I'm not a fan of that. This is Ryan Day trying to prove to people that him and his program are tough. You're defending national champions. No one's questioning your program right now, but every time Ryan Day has tried to prove that he's tough, bad things happen. Remember the Michigan game? When they started passing the ball right before halftime, I mean, it was 2, 3, 4 completions. Will Howard was leading them down the field and making it look easy. And then they went away from that and just kept handing it off and handing it off and handing it off. Jet sweep, just short yardage plays, because he wanted to win tough. He wanted to pound the ball. He wanted to pound Michigan. He wanted to be a tough guy. And he looked as soft as ever. When Ryan Day tries to be tough, soft stuff happens every time. But you know what happens when Ryan Day just lets his team go out and plays football? Good things happen. They didn't go out and try to be tougher than Tennessee. They just went out and were better than Tennessee. They didn't try to be tougher than Oregon. They just went out and were better than Oregon. They didn't try to be tougher than Texas. They just went out and were better than Texas. And they didn't go out and try to be tougher than Notre Dame. They just went out and destroyed Notre Dame in the national championship. When Ryan Day just lets his team go out and play football, they're a pretty damn good team. I don't need tough guy Ryan Day. I just need the Ohio State team and the mentality that won a national championship last year. That needs to be the identity of the team. Football, not toughness. Don't get me wrong, I want my team to be tough, but I don't want you to force it. I don't want you to tell me they're tough. Let them show me. And I don't need them to show me in a spring game. That's ridiculous. I'm not rooting for injuries by any means, but like I said earlier, if an injury happens, you bet your ass I am going to do the whole "I told you so" thing on this show. I don't care if that puts people off. I don't care if that upsets some of you. I really don't care. No one better get injured because of the I need to be the self-assurance that's just so desperately needed by Ryan Day. Just saying. All right, sticking with this. The other thing I found interesting as well, Ryan Day had given an update on camp and on the spring practices and talked about the quarterback battle between Julian Sayin and Lincoln Kienholz. Kienholz has been around for a few years now. The last time we saw him, things were not going very well in the loss against Missouri. Yeah. I mean, he did not look good at all. I think when we saw that, I was like, yeah, I'm kind of out on that. It was a fun experiment. I'm surprised he didn't hit the portal, but he's still here. Good for him. But when the Buckeyes got Julian Sayin in the portal, I thought that was a huge get. And that's what all the buzz was about. All Alabama said is how that was such a huge major loss for them and how that was a major get for Ohio State. And now I'm hearing that the quarterback battle is neck and neck between Julian Sayin and Kienholz. It should not be a quarterback battle. It should not be neck and neck. In fact, the fact that it is neck and neck, the fact that we have a quarterback battle, to me, it screams more that Julian Sayin is not doing his job. Julian Sayin is letting Kienholz into the conversation, and that's not a good thing. This reminds me an awful lot of the Kyle McCord, Devin Brown quarterback battle from a few years ago. Kyle McCord was supposed to be the guy at Ohio State. That was supposed to be his job. No questions asked. And then the spring practice starts, and we hear updates out of camp, and we're hearing how it's neck and neck. And then no final decision was made after spring practice. And then you kind of get into the summer and you get into the fall camp, and still no decision was made then. We head into the first game of the season, and it was one of those, well, it'll kind of be, Kyle McCord's going to start, but then we're going to see Devin Brown start a game. And it was like, my goodness, it's like quarterback by committee. Like, what are we doing? That's not a good thing. I know quarterback competition is healthy. Competition, position, whether in any position group, competition is a good thing. But sometimes when you know Julian Sayin's supposed to be the guy. So the fact that, and I don't think it's just coach speak, by the way. What's the point of coach speak in this particular situation? Do you think that Texas is doing this whole little weird, like, what other quarterbacks they have on that roster outside of Arch Manning, but do you truly think that they are doing coach speak there? No, Arch Manning's our quarterback. Yeah, but I bet last year they did coach speak. No, they didn't. In a quarterback room that had Quinn Ewers and Arch Manning, Sarkisian came out and said it's Quinn Ewers' job. And many believe that Arch is better than Quinn Ewers, but at that time, it didn't matter. There was no question mark of who the starting quarterback was going to be for the Texas Longhorns. The job was Quinn Ewers. No coach speak. Again, stop with the coach speak stuff. You either have it or you don't, because Quinn Ewers was the guy. Julian Sayin needs to be the guy. And if Julian Sayin's not the guy, if we're talking about Lincoln Kienholz, it's not because of the job that Lincoln Kienholz is doing. I think it's because of the job that is not being done by Julian Sayin. And I don't get it. In an offense that has every weapon imaginable, if you can't stand out on a field with that talent there, Julian Sayin, you're not going to stand out anywhere. And that's what's unfortunate. And I said the same thing years ago when Marvin Harrison Jr. and Emeka Egbuka and company, Kyle McCord, Devin Brown, neither of you can separate yourself from the other. I don't know about that. All right. Good stuff. It's the Justin Kinner Show presented by Frickers right here on 1410 ESPN Radio. The college basketball season officially wrapped up last night. We'll talk about that coming up here shortly around the corner as we wrap up hour number 2. More coming your way. The Justin Kinner Show presented by Frickers right here on Dayton's ESPN Radio 1410 Wing AM. All right, and we are back. It's the Justin Kinner Show right here on 1410 ESPN Radio. Happy Tuesday. Wrapping up the hour here. Again, appreciate you guys tuning in. If you haven't done so, everyone has Facebook. Go to Facebook and subscribe and follow the Justin Kinner Show Facebook page. And that's where you can watch the show and interact with the show each and every day. Sorry, that was a little bit of a longer break than usual. Behind the curtain stuff too. It was just that was Ohio State. We are extending our partnership with Ohio State football and basketball. Kind of weird timing. I did see that the people from Ohio State were calling as I am bashing Ryan Day's toughness. So at first I thought, oh no, I need to come back and talk about how tough Ryan Day is. But no, that is not the case. That was a guilty conscience. I panicked when I saw the number of Skip Mossick popping up on my phone. I thought for sure I was in trouble there, but no, all's good. We're extending the partnership with Ohio State. So that's just, we're making that be known now. That's pretty cool. Nonetheless, it's wild right now. I don't know how to explain this, but Ohio State just won a national championship. Does it feel like they won a national championship? Does that sound absolutely ridiculous to you? Am I wrong in wording it that way? Like, I feel like it was a big deal that they won this national championship. Don't get me wrong. And in fact, I think it's the toughest national championship that anybody has ever won in the history of college football. And I think it would be safe to say you could say that for pretty much anyone who would have won it this year. But I do know that there were easier paths to a national championship, and Ohio State had the toughest one. I think Ohio State and Oregon would have had the two toughest paths to the national championship. Ohio State's path was tougher than Oregon's, mainly because Oregon at least had that first round bye due to winning the Big Ten, of course. Ohio State had to beat Tennessee out of the SEC. You had to beat Oregon, undefeated, number one team in the country, Big Ten champion, on their side of the country, basically, over on the West Coast of the Rose Bowl. That was my first Rose Bowl ever attending. It was unbelievable. And then to have to play Texas, Quinn Ewers and all the NFL talent on both sides of that ball, and then have to go play Notre Dame, the best defense in college football. I mean, Tennessee, Oregon, Texas, Notre Dame. I'm very curious. It took a while for us to get a good grasp and feel for the 4-team playoff. I just have a hard time believing that any team will face a tougher 3 to 4 teams in a stretch to a national championship than Ohio State did. That's not a Buckeye homer take. That is not me, just being Mr. Buckeye over here. Half you Buckeye fans think I hate Ohio State. So I truly believe that. I do not think that for the remainder of the 12 or 16 team playoff, whatever this thing increases to, I don't think there will be a team that wins a national championship that would have to go through a tougher wall than what Ohio State just did. And ironically enough, you could make the argument too, even back when they won the inaugural 14 playoff. You having to face Alabama and Oregon in back-to-back games. I mean, in all seriousness, if you go look at all the national championships, that might have been the toughest back-to-back, string of games to win a national championship. Even then, to face Alabama and Nick Saban, to be down double digits, to come back the way that they did, and then to go face Marcus Mariota and to go face Oregon. I mean, that was a tough one too back in 14. But the wild thing is, I was talking about Ryan Day a little bit ago. Kev's busy. He couldn't pop in. I know he wants to come in and talk about this, and we will at another time when he's available. But, the thing that's fascinating to me is Ryan Day, if he doesn't win another national championship the remainder of his tenure at Ohio State, I feel like people will still criticize Ryan Day and say he didn't do enough, which is wild because as great as Jim Tressel was, he won one national championship. Urban Meyer was the god of Ohio State, right? I'll be honest with you. If you think of all the coaches out there, Nick Saban had a ton of power, this, that, the other. Urban Meyer had so much power at Ohio State that he really rubbed a lot of higher ups the wrong way over there too. It reminded me of when you watch that Bobby Knight documentary. I'm not comparing Urban Meyer to Bob Knight, but I feel like no figure has had as much control and power over a university since Bob Knight at Indiana than Urban Meyer had at Ohio State. And I think that all came to fruition when we saw that go down in his exit, in Columbus. It was a mess. But Ryan Day could retire right now, and you can't say, I mean, his winning percentage, he has won more than Urban Meyer. He's won more than Jim Tressel with the winning percentage. I mean, he's literally dominated. He's won a national championship. He won the inaugural 12-team college football playoff. You had to beat Tennessee. You had to beat Oregon. You had to beat Texas. You had to beat Notre Dame. I mean, that's quite the stretch. I mean, and if you want to talk about this too, 5 of the last 6 weeks you're facing, I mean, Indiana, say what you want, but I mean, you played a top 5 team in Indiana. I don't believe that they're top 5, but I'm not going to sit here and take it away. You beat a top 5 team in Indiana before you had to play Michigan and you lost. But then you go on to beat Tennessee, Oregon, Texas, Notre Dame. That's a hell of a stretch to close out the season. Ryan Day, the perception of him moving forward is going to be interesting. How people view him. How do you guys view him? Like him hoisting up that national championship trophy, did that change how you perceive him and view him? I am kind of curious people's thoughts on that. Has that changed? I mean, it's changed a lot. Don't get me wrong. Like it has really eliminated a lot of the people out there who want to be critical of him because of the fact that, you can't say he's not good enough. A year ago, if you hear the open of the show, it was a clip from one of the shows where I said, no, I'm not going to apologize about my takes on Ryan Day because all of my takes on Ryan Day were valid up until that point where he held up the national championship. A year ago, I stated that I don't believe that a Ryan Day-led team can ever win a national championship. Oh, Kinner, you were wrong. Okay, I'm not mad about that. But at the same time, there was nothing in the history of the Ryan Day era for me to truly believe that he was a good enough coach to win a national championship. The narrative of not being able to beat national championship contenders, that wasn't a made-up one. That was real. There were numbers and facts and games to back it up. You think back to the Clemson Bowl game in his first year at Ohio State, almost beating Clemson. Right? Oh, well, he beat Clemson to get to the national championship game. That's fine. You got boat raced by 50. You gave up 50 in the national championship game against Alabama. You lose 3 or 4 straight to Michigan. You know what I mean? Like you lost to Oregon in the regular season. You lost to Oregon in this past regular season. You lost to Michigan again this past season. Like there were so many examples of this. You lost to Missouri in the bowl game. There were so many examples of this team just not being good enough in the Ryan Day era. Good enough to beat the bad teams, good enough to beat the teams you're supposed to, but not good enough to beat the teams that you're on almost not equal playing, but like the teams that you need to beat to prove that you're on that upper echelon of programs. You need to beat them. They couldn't do it. You struggled to beat Michigan. You couldn't beat Clemson. You couldn't beat Alabama. You couldn't beat Missouri. You couldn't beat Oregon. The top 2 teams in the Big Ten, Michigan and Oregon over the last couple of seasons. I know Oregon the first year in the Big Ten, but the point is I can't beat them. That's a problem. That's a problem. There just wasn't enough for me to say that this guy who cannot beat these championship contending teams, I'm supposed to believe that not only can he beat a national championship contending team, but that he's going to do it in 4 consecutive weeks. And guess what he did? He went on to beat Tennessee. A week later would go on to beat Oregon in the Rose Bowl. A week later would go on to beat Texas and Dallas, basically a road game, and then would go on to beat Notre Dame in the national championship game. And nothing changes because there was nothing in the history of the Ryan Day era to prove that he was capable of doing that. And then to come off that Michigan loss where the program felt like it was at an all-time low. Man, oh man. Man, oh man. Like that's something to me at the end of the day. But it is what it is. We'll see. I'm very fascinated by what the future of Ryan Day in Columbus is going to look like. Urban Meyer made it to 1 national championship game. 1. Struggled to make the playoffs after that. I mean, vastly underachieved a year later with the same team that Urban Meyer won a national championship with in 14. They couldn't get it done in 15. They struggled at Hawaii. They struggled against Southern Illinois. You guys remember that? Like Ohio State was, it was just a chaotic season. They lost to Michigan State. They missed the playoff and just wasn't what you envision for an Urban Meyer-led team. And then the drama that ensued after with the Zach Smith stuff that ultimately led to the departure of Urban Meyer. And then Ryan Day comes in, and it's a completely different ballgame at that point. But man, oh man, like I am curious. Urban Meyer never made it back to a national championship game, but no one ever held that against him. What happens if Ryan Day never makes it back to a national championship game? What if he's here? I mean, that national championship win buys him at least 5 years at Ohio State. Aye. All right, the Justin Kinner Show presented by Frickers right here on 1410 ESPN Radio. We're wrapping it up here. The Cincinnati Reds, we are Dayton's radio home for Cincinnati Reds baseball. We've talked a lot about the Reds today. The Reds have game 2 tonight going up against the San Francisco Giants. 9:45 the first pitch, 9:15 coverage begins right here on 1410 Wing AM. The Reds coming off of a 2-0 win last night. Hunter Green going almost the distance. I mean, he gets taken out. There's 2 outs, okay? He walked a batter. Terry Francona would go on to ultimately pull Hunter Green from the mound. He spoke about how tough of a decision that was. Take a listen.
And if I would have managed with my emotions, I'd have left Hunter in because, I mean, he deserved. I wanted him to finish that game. I just thought he started to overthrow a little bit. He got to that 2 outs, and we needed to win, and it was hard to take him out. But I think it was the right thing to do.
It was hard. He thought it was the right thing to do, and it was the right thing to do because ultimately – this team, the margin for error is so slim, you can't afford to give up 2 runs and go into extra innings. This team can't score runs. I played the soundbite for you earlier in the show. Terry Francona said that this team, it's hard to win right now. And it might be hard to win a lot moving forward. But man, oh man, how good has Hunter Green been? In his last 2 starts, guys, Hunter Green has pitched 15 innings. He's given up 1 run in 15 innings on 7 hits, and he struck out 15 batters. He's a legit ace. He is a legit ace. Luis Castillo was fantastic. I loved Luis Castillo. Trevor Bauer obviously won a Cy Young with the Reds in that truncated COVID 20 or 60 game season. Sonny Gray was phenomenal. But there is just something different about Hunter Green. It really is. I think Trevor Bauer, too, because the Reds traded for him. It was appreciated the job he did. I would have loved to see what Trevor Bauer could have done over a full 162-game season as far as being a part of a staff that had Luis Castillo and Sonny Gray and what they could have done in a playoff. I know they made the playoffs, but in a real regular season, in a real playoff format with fans and with everything, all the logistics to kind of go with it. I don't count the 2020 playoff appearance. I just don't. But man, what we're witnessing with Hunter Green is something special. And when you have Hunter Green and Elly De La Cruz, I know I've been beating up on Elly De La Cruz a lot lately. One debate I want to get into, we're off tomorrow because the Reds are on, but be thinking about this for Thursday's show. If the Reds the Reds have already extended Hunter Green and they got him at $15 million a year, you're getting an ace for $15 million a year. We already have doubts about whether the Reds are going to be able to extend Elly De La Cruz or not. But one thing we do know is that if the Reds do find it within them to find the funds to extend Elly De La Cruz, they can't keep Hunter Green. And the question I have is who is more valuable, Elly De La Cruz or Hunter Green? If you could only pick one, who are you sticking with? That's the question I have. Because what we're watching right now at Hunter Green, people are losing their minds about, oh my gosh, the day that we watch Elly De La Cruz leave Cincinnati for the Dodgers is going to be the worst day in the history of the franchise. What we're watching from Hunter Green right now, I'm having a hard time believing that wouldn't be the same case with him as well. The Reds have a lot of deficiencies and a lot of problems, but they have struck gold on the pitching side with Hunter Green, and they've struck gold with the generational talent in Elly De La Cruz. And that's a great thing to have both of them. But what happens when it's time to bid farewell because we can't afford them? What happens if you could only afford one? The one player that the Reds did try to extend a contract extension to, and Matt McClain turned it down ahead of opening day. Things are getting interesting in Cincinnati. We're following all the contract drama over the last couple of years with the Cincinnati Bengals, with obviously T. Higgins and Jamar Chase and Joe Burrow. Joe, Jamar, and T are locked up for the long term. They kept their core. And I think we're going to be getting really hot and heavy with the coverage of what are the Reds going to do over the next couple of years when it comes to Matt McClain, Elly De La Cruz, Hunter Green. Nick Lodolo looked great in his last outing. If Nick Lodolo goes out there and balls out tonight, we're going to have an interesting discussion about him coming up too. So nonetheless, all right, that wraps it up for us here in hour number 2. This is the Justin Kinner Show presented by Frickers. Frickers, your home for fun, food, sports, and spirits.